Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Houston Trong from the tradinginch.org, and here is your weekly market outlook for September the 23rd to the 27th, 2019. And we have just 1 week left in this quarter. So this coming week will be the final trading week of the month and final trading week of the quarter. And we get to see at the end of the week where things close for September and for Q3. Now, this past week was definitely marked by a number of macro events and a lot of news flow. So markets definitely had some volatility to them. But this coming week will be interesting as well. Just to get to the fundamentals, on Wednesday we have new home sales. I was watching that. Thursday we have the GDP number. That will be important. And of course, there are a number of earnings names that will be a value to watch. Especially around the Thursday area. Thursday we have Micron, and that's going to be a good one to watch. So let's get into the charts, talk about the week that was, and we'll also do a little bit of looking to the future, right? We'll try to look into the crystal ball and see what we can begin to see forming for the beginning of Q4. So let's jump into things, and as always, let's begin with our friend VIX. And if you recall what I talked about in last week's video, this is the situation we were watching. So let's begin with the VIX futures contract first. We knew the situation was that there was, being objective, was that there was a situation where we had an outside bar and down. So outside bar down, 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 down. And we knew that there was momentum to the downside, right? And the momentum wasn't going to get extinguished until we saw a prior high taken out. And that happened here in this week. So here on the daily chart, on Wednesday, interestingly enough, that's when we actually gapped up. So on Wednesday the 18th there, that's when we had our actual. So Wednesday was our FOMC day, and the markets, the VIX actually gapped up prior to the actual announcement. So that's what basically extinguished that momentum pattern to the downside on the VIX. Now contrast that. So before I move on to the VXX ETN, let's just talk about this chart. So right now it's still a red month with 1 week of trading left. It was a green week this past week, and it finally broke above a prior week's high. Okay, we had a couple of days of sort of profit taking in the VIX futures contract. So they gapped up on Wednesday, and then on they kind of sold it off. On Thursday was a small selling pressure, and then on Friday they really bought it back again with all the news coming out around China. And then perhaps the tariff talks not going as well as everyone was hoping, and the fact that some Chinese delegations were not planning on visiting the United States anymore. Also combine that with the fact that it was quadruple witching, then we have quite a bit of volatility there, potentially coming to the markets, and that's what we saw on Friday. So that's what it looks like on the VIX futures contract. Now on the VXX, it looks different. So this is the interesting thing about the VXX, and I've talked about before why they look different, but specifically VXX, the ETN, is comprised of not just the the nearest term futures contract. It actually has a couple of futures contracts inside that ETN. The short term and the midterm contract is actually inside that product, so it actually moves a little bit differently than the VIX futures contract, which trades the front month. The one I just showed you before was the front month contract. So talking about the ETN VXX, red month, that's the same, but look, the week, it was a red week still, right? So unlike the VIX futures contract, this thing actually closed the week red, although, here I'll zoom in, although looking like a hammer. All right, so looking like a hammer on the VIX futures contract. The VXX contract. Now, this is the notable thing here, right? So on Wednesday, even though the VIX futures contract gapped up, VXX actually gapped down. See how it gapped down? Started the day there, ended down here. At one point it did come up again, but it did come to the lows, close near the lows at the end of the day. Thursday, it sold off. Look, it was down 1.82%, and on Thursday, look what it did here. Okay, it gap filled 2183 right there. Is that unfilled gap from the 29th of July? Where did it get to on Thursday? 2183 is the gap. 2180. So 3 cents. Right, that's how far it went down below that prior gap, and then they bought it back. On Friday, they really bought it back on Friday. On Friday, it went down to 2183 again. who says that the gaps don't matter, right? So that gap got filled. It tested the gap twice, Thursday, Friday, and they bought it right back on Friday. So VIX, big day on Friday, up 5%. Okay, so this being said, let's look at the two-day chart now. This is the pattern we need to be looking at. Outside bar and down. Okay, so it's basically an outside bar and down, down situation now. We're simply watching out for now. When is this momentum gets extinguished, right? So if it keeps going outside bar down, let's say on Monday, this new week that comes out, it breaks below here and it's still outside bar down, 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 right? Still going down. However, if it takes out that pivot high there, then there's a very good chance it goes after that high, and that will change things around, and we could possibly come back through the range again. Okay, so that's something to be watching out for in terms of those levels. You want to see, does this two-day pattern continue to go to the downside, or do they buy it back, break above this prior bar's high, and start going after these other pivots? So that's what we want to be watching out for. Okay, so onto the SPY now. The SPY, even amongst all that, with VIX popping up on Friday, we actually did manage to make an all-time high on Thursday. So we talked about the VIX filling that gap on Thursday. Well, on Thursday on the SPY, we hit an all-time high. So let's start here on the monthly chart. So monthly, green month now, right? So even that selling pressure on Friday, we've got 1 week left, it's still a green month. Okay, so we're up 1.93% in the month. We did hit new highs. So let's see where it goes from there. Weekly chart, red. It did turn the week red, but we're still trading above the monthly open, which is that orange line, and the quarterly open right there, okay, which is that blue line. So, you know, we kind of been dancing around this quarterly open. We spent some time beneath that quarterly open, so at some points during this quarter, it was a red quarter, but right now, buyers are defending that quarterly open, and we'll really see that on the Qs, which we'll talk about after this SPY conversation. So on the daily chart for SPY, this is what we saw here. So in the SPY, okay, so here's Monday. It goes on Monday. It gaps down, right? So this is over the weekend, if you recall, there was the big news on oil, which we'll show the oil chart later on. So oil gapped up, had a very, very significant gap on Monday. And people are trying to price in the geopolitical risk and what was going to happen with the overall equities market. Well, it turns out the supply came back online a lot sooner than a lot of people expected, so that got priced in very quickly, and the markets actually went and rallied to all-time highs. Now look at this pattern: inside bar down, inside bar, outside bar, and pops up. This pop up here is part of a inside bar reversal. So this takes up that pivot high, okay, pops up, takes out that high and that high, creating the all-time highs right there. So that creates the all-time highs, a higher high, right? So this is why it's a terrible time to buy, right? You never want to be buying breakouts at all-time highs. Not saying you can't go higher, but if you're buying breakouts, you're chasing price. Sometimes they work. Most of the time, it does not work, right? Buying breakouts, if you do your homework, and you looked at buying breakouts, most breakouts fail. Right, so most breakouts fail, and you can just see that anytime you try to buy a breakout, whether it's this prior high, this prior all-time high, they fail right away because the momentum guys quickly get proven wrong. Breakdowns as well. Look, this is a breakdown. You can consider this a breakdown here, right? So let's draw. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this, but let's draw that support line here. You can call it support. If you're trying to sell this breakdown, you've been wrong each time it comes down there because the buyers are stepping up and picking it up. Okay, so again, this is what we simply want to be watching for, is that we're actually creating higher highs. It's pulling back. Again, not saying you need to get bearish. Just saying buying into highs is usually not a good idea. So this looked really, really bullish on Thursday, right? So we had the all-time highs on Thursday, but it pulled back into the end of the day. And here's the issue: as soon as you break below the low of Thursday, it's going to come back through the range. We know that, right? Because that's an outside bar. So it takes out that low on Friday, comes right back through and rips right through, taking out Wednesday's lows. And that's what we were kind of watching. To really see the intraday action, I'm going to keep it at a high level. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. But here's, this tells you what you need to know. On the 4-hour chart, it's just this, right? So here's your Wednesday. Okay, so here's your Wednesday. Ends very, very strong on Wednesday after FOMC. Okay, so FOMC, At first, market participants did not like what they heard, but then they realized, you know what, the Fed's there and you don't want to fight the Fed. And so on Wednesday, they actually closed it very strong, breaking above the highs of the week, right? So this is the highs of the week here to close on Wednesday. Thursday, you get the momentum. Outside bar up, that's momentum. But guess what happens? As soon as that low gets taken out right there, momentum's gone. That happened here Thursday afternoon. Thursday, we had a huge buying spree in the morning. The first 4 hours of the session, big buying spree, created all-time highs there, right? But guess what? As soon as you take out that pivot low there, you're in trouble. And that's what happened on Friday, right? Because we know once that gets taken out, there's a good chance it's going to come out there and come out the other side. And that's what happened there. So still, you know, it's very, you know, it's still very, very tight action in the sense that you're still trading all that action, even though you created higher highs, like a new all-time high. Most of the week, we stayed inside the prior week's range. So, you know, we're not breaking above the prior high and closing above it, right? And we're not breaking below the prior week's lows and trading below it. We're trading inside it still, so it's kind of it's a little bit choppy, right? It's a little bit choppy of trading. Let's talk about Qs. Very similar situation. Qs, however, have not been able to create those all-time highs. Still waiting on those. We are now, I'm going to blow out some of these lines in a few moments here because we have a few too many lines. Right now, as it stands, I'm just going to redraw from where we closed on Friday. 2.5% now from those all-time highs on Qs. Okay, so green month, still green month. The quarter, you know, pretty much a doji quarter right now, right? So we're up 2%, but we're not really, we're just barely hanging above the prior quarters. We're trading right around the last quarter's highs. So green month, green quarter still, outside, inside, up, still going up. Okay. So on the week, this is how tight it was, right? So even with that volatility on Friday, it was still an inside week. Okay, so let's delete some of these lines here. We know about that breakout. So we knew here that was a breakout. I'm going to delete that line now. We don't need to do that line anymore. Breakout goes up, and this week was inside bar. Consolidation. So even though they had, you know, a lot of, let's go to the intraday chart or the daily chart. Even though you had, some movement there, right? Green, red days. It was still inside week. It was very tight trading, right? Very, very tight trading. So surprisingly, on Friday, we came really close to doing the same thing on Qs like we had on SPY. Outside up, momentum got extinguished there, came back down, but not quite enough to take out this bar's pivot low. 190.11. It came to within a few pennies. 190.16, so 5 cents. Came very close. The buyers defend. You see what the buyers are defending here? This blue line. See that blue line right there at 190.30? That blue line is, wait for it. Yes, the quarterly open. So buyers are defending that quarterly open. Look, test to here, test there. Here it actually broke through. Touch this 8 EMEA, pop back up again at the end of the day above the quarterly open. Test there on Wednesday, right? That's FOMC. Boom. Tested it. They defended. Even on Friday. It looked really rough there on Friday because they really sold it heavy for a number of hours. But the best they could do was hit that quarterly open. Buyers stepped up. This blue line, the green line, excuse me, that's the 20 period. So buyers defended the quarterly open and the 20 period moving average. I'd be surprised if they don't take out that pivot low. If this pivot low here on Wednesday doesn't get taken out, I just shows you the strength of the buyers. But I think in the short term, I really think that the sellers have enough control whether maybe on Monday, maybe they gap it down and take out that pivot low, and we'll see once again whether or not the buyers step up and defend that 20 EMEA on the daily and that quarterly open. So on the 4-hour chart, this is what we're looking at. I'm going to delete some of these lines now. Those are not pertinent. So we want to watch this here. Okay, so to end the week, we have an outside bar, okay, and an inside bar. So 4-hour outside, inside. Now on Monday, we want to see how this pattern breaks on Monday. I'm thinking it's going to take out that pivot low at the very least. And if it doesn't, that's information, right? That shows you the strength of the buyers because that pivot's so obvious. If they can't take it out, it really shows you like they tried their best to get that liquidity here. And if they can't, that means the buyers are stepping up. And that's something that you definitely want to be aware of. Okay, let's move on to our next chart. And that is Russell. Russell did a bit of a pullback, but still end of the week as an inside week. So month of September so far has been a decent month for Russell. And so right now, outside, inside, pops up, comes back in, takes out all the pivot lows, and if it comes back up again, we're expecting this pivot to get taken out. Okay, issue there in the quarter with I think I spoke a bit earlier before, is one full trading week left in the quarter. So There is the following Monday where there's still a trading day left in the month, but this is the last full trading week of the quarter and of the month. So here, inside and up, comes down. With 1 week and 1 day left of trading, how do you you stay inside this bar's range, or does it somehow climb above and take out the prior quarter's high? It doesn't look like it's going to do that right now because we're still right inside this range here, but that's a wait and see, right? Let's wait and see. On the week, even after all that stuff, look how tight the trading is. Okay, so this is the trade we've been in since February. See this tight range? All right, so you can see that it's basically a broad information because these lows that we made in August are lower than May's lows. This high is higher than Feb's highs. So you're making higher highs, you're making lower lows, and if things go as you've been seeing it, they're going to go after that pivot there, and probably that pivot there to try to get these areas again. If not, it's going to come back down, come back through, and continue doing this chop business, which takes money from most traders. Okay, so inside week on the Russell, trading below the quarterly open, so red quarter, but green month, right? So you have that time frame misalignment, which is why you're getting that back and forth action, because buyers and sellers are seeing things differently. The perspectives differ based upon time frame. This week, it's most of the week below the weekly open. So on the daily chart there, it's pretty straightforward to see. You can basically see here that it's just going, had a couple green days, but for the most of the week, it spent that time below the weekly open. So that's an important area to watch. All right. So on the weekly chart here now, we want to be looking at this, right? This is what we're waiting for. We want to see how this week breaks, this coming week, right? Does it break above the quarterly open and stay above it? If so, they're going to go after that pivot there and potentially that pivot there. If it doesn't, we'll come back through again. But again, how do you turn that month red, right? How does this month turn red? And if it does, we're going to have to come all the way back down here to the 146 area. Okay, that would be way back down here again. All right, so that would be a lot to give up in the final week of weekend. It's 6 days of trading, but anything's possible. But given how what Russell's doing right now, I think it's just going to chop around and extract the money from most traders. That's what it's really going to do. Let's talk about the Dow. So Dow, very, very close to those all-time highs. Now, it did give back a bit this week, but we're still less than 2% away from all-time highs. Let's make sure I measure that properly. Yeah. See, so green month on the Dow, inside week as well on Dow, right? So it's just consolidation. Even though we had that pullback on Friday, it looked ugly. There's no reason not to believe that one piece of good news, or either it's a Trump tweet or some macro news or some Fed speak or whatever it may be, tariff talk, this could easily pop up less, 1.5% to 2% and take out those all-time highs, because this is just consolidation, right? Consolidating on the week here, right above the quarterly open right there, right? So here's the pattern we've been watching, outside, inside, it broke the consolidation, up, this week's a breather. That's all it is. Right now, just a breather. Now, if it comes back down through here again, it breaks below the quarterly open, then that'll change my perspective a bit. But for now, you're just consolidating above the quarterly open. Okay, so on the daily though, it did do the pattern we've been watching for and waiting for. That's that outside and up. Right, it takes out that low. We expect that low to get taken out. It did that on the Russell. It did that on the SPYs and the Dow. Remember, it did not do that on the Qs. Qs held in stronger. For our chart, just like the SPY. Okay, so outside up. Look, as soon as that low gets taken out, we talk about it all the time, right? This momentum gets extinguished, and then we're coming through the range and looking to take out that pivot low. That's what happened, and a little bit extra. But they could defy it. They're still trading above the quarterly open. So on Monday, you want to see, where's that inside bar break? This last inside bar of the day. Okay, so how's it break? Let's go inside bar down, or just pop up. If it does down, if the bars step up here and do an inside bar reversal, we can potentially go back up again. Because it's going to be, a lot of this has to do with where price trades in relation to the weekly open, right? Because if you open high and price trades below, you'll see that with the oil charts. If price opens high on the week and then you start trading below, then automatically anyone who's looking at their weekly charts will immediately see a red week, right? Because the price opened up high on the week. Let's see, gap up, and then it's going to be, the buyers really have to step up to turn that week green again, and they have to make up any losses that were incurred early in the week to try that turn that week green. Likewise, if you gap down and all of a sudden you trade above that weekly open, then it'll look green for those weekly time frame traders, and that that will be again, price will be working in the buyer's favor at that point, right? So here's an example here where the markets, well, it opens up here. Well, that's not a great example. Let's just see if I find another one here. Here, see, in this situation here, back in August, markets gapped, opened lower, right? And they made a big low. It pops up. Now, if you're trading below the open, anyone's looking in the weekly chart is going to see a red chart, right? And so even when it pops above the week, it doesn't take much to break it below again and for this kind of action to occur, right? So you definitely want to be watching where you open in relation to that, and where you trade in relation to that weekly open, because that's going to dictate a lot of the week's trading, where you're trading in relation to that weekly open. Okay, one index that did make all-time highs and close at all-time highs is the TSX. So TSX being helped by the energy sector and the financial sector, and yeah, it's at all-time highs now. Close at all-time highs. So TSX, green month. Look at the quarter, right? Big green quarter. Now up 3%. Okay, 3+%. Green week, nice green week for TSX, 1.3% up, and basically just inside bar up. So just grinding up slowly here, just slowly pushing higher and higher and higher on the TSX. Emerging markets. Charts looking decent as well. So we had a few red days here, but it's hanging in there, just like the charts on the Dow. The only difference is this. So green month right now in EM looks okay. Inside week, right? So just like the Dow's inside week. The difference here is that you're not above the quarterly open. So you're trading with mixed time frames once again. Green month, but red quarter. See, look here on the quarterly chart, red quarter. Not a great looking quarter, right? So here you have natural sellers coming in on the quarterly charts because that doesn't look that great. Right, that quarterly chart doesn't look that great. Now that monthly chart, not bad. So it all depends on your perspective, right? If you're a longer term trader and you're looking at the quarterly charts, that's not a great looking chart. You kind of want to see, maybe a green quarter before you start putting monies into the market, to the EM product. Monthly doesn't look so bad because you took out the prior month's high, and then you're going to use a lower time frame perhaps to make more trading decisions. Right now, objectively speaking, inside week after all this stuff, right? So after all this chop here, opens flat basically on the week, gaps down, stays right around the weekly open. Okay, so very, very tight trading there, creates the inside week. Ends the week as an inside outside combination, right? So now you want to see, how does it navigate this next outside bar? Does it go outside bar down? That's momentum. Outside bar up, that's momentum, right? And we want to see what happens to the next bar. Or does it go inside? And that'll set up for a very, very interesting scenario. If it goes inside, outside, inside again, consolidate some more, and then it breaks. Then that'll be very interesting, right? So we're trying to look ahead here and visualize what could be a possible combination moving forward. Okay, on the daily chart, all this chop inside day in the last two-day chart. Okay, so let's watch and wait and see how this gets resolved. Let's move on to TLT, and then we'll jump to oil. So TLT, green week, but let's start here. Okay, so TLT month, inside month still. Even if this, look rough. Look last week we had a quite deep pullback, but look at the bigger price pattern on the monthly chart. Outside up momentum pattern, right? Has to take out that prior low before the momentum gets extinguished. Right now, I'm not close to it yet. This is now looking like an inside month. Somehow this coming week they can push it all the way down here, that'll change that, or push it all the way up here, that'll change that from an inside week to something else. But until then, we're still inside our month, we're still trading inside the prior month's range. Week, inside week. As I said already, the prior week we had a lot of selling. It was down 6.34%. This week it regained some of that, so this could simply be consolidation or a friendly pullback in a a longer time frame uptrend. So on the TLT chart now, this is this is what finally happened on the daily chart. Nice pullback activity that was buyable. Outside bar down, looked terrible last week, right? Went outside bar down, gaps down. And look on Monday. As soon as they open up right here on Monday, inside bar, if they take out that Monday high, they're going after that pivot's high there. That's what happened on Friday, right? So that's your pivot high right there. 141.80 there, 141.98. Took it out. Anyone who put their stop up there, right? If you got short here on this day, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna leave my stop there. And on last Friday, you're like, you're doing great, right? Because now you're up another 2%. Because you know, it did go drop to the 2%. Then on Monday, here's you got to watch out. Because now you have a new week, right? The new week is green, okay? Because you open up here and you trade higher. If it takes out this high, it's a green week, and those guys look at the weekly charts, it's looking decent, so that becomes the pivot in play, and they took them out. Okay, so that's TLT, and let's see how, you know, I'm expecting TLT to just basically do more of what's doing there, and that is stay inside the monthlies range. Okay, now let's move on to oil, because oil had quite a week, especially in the beginning part of the week. So with the attacks in Saudi Arabia, we had quite the big jump in oil. So just to step back, let's talk about the bigger picture. On the 3-month chart, okay, even with all that volatility, that 3-month chart still looks like a doji. Okay, so you're up 0.4% on crude for the quarter. So even that huge spike up, that 15+% spike up, has not changed the picture much on crude. We're only basically a doji pattern in Q3. Here's the issue: inside and up. Now if we can break back below here again, we're going to come back and test this pivot low, but right now they defended. They popped it back up and back inside of Q2's range. On the monthly chart, green. Okay, so if they fought back, the bars defended, they fought back and pushed this thing back into a green month. The weekly chart, so here we go, momentum to the upside now. So we had quite a bit of chop here, but exactly the same patterns we've been talking about. Inside, outside. Right, recall, this is what we're talking about with EM. Now, we want to see what's the next bar going to be, right? If it's going to be outside bar down, you know it's momentum. So it goes outside bar down. Remember, it looked really, really terrible here at the beginning of August for oil. Then it goes inside, right? Inside again. And this is kind of like the TLT trade now. Inside again on the week. And then it gets volatile. It goes outside bar. Okay, that's 2 weeks ago. It goes outside bar. So anyone who tried to buy this breakout and they put their stops too tight, they got stopped out when, you know, it came down here. Then last week it goes outside bar and up. Even though it closed red, it did take out the prior high, right? So again, this is why it's significant, because anyone who went short, they got stopped out in that sequence if they honor their stops, right? If you put your stop above here or anywhere in this range, right, you got stopped out. So here now, even though it closed red, what's going to happen if this thing breaks above here, which it did this week, right? It goes outside bar up. Momentum still to the upside, even though that week was red. Now they took out that pivot high, right? That's what we're looking for. This pivot high, that's this, you know, that outside bar. We're expecting that to get taken out because this outside bar creates a very, very tight running formation like that. Okay. So this thing pops up and ends green in the week. Now on the weekly chart, so there's your big day on Monday, 13% up for the day. Inside bar. And it goes inside bar down, inside bar reversal, pops up again, and now I'm making an inside bar on Friday, perhaps looking its way to get back up again. Issue here is that you get the 200-day moving average right there, that black line sitting right there, and traders are looking at that, and right now they're unable to keep it above the 200-day. So in the 2-day chart, all that chop in the last 4 sessions of the week is inside. Okay, so what's going to happen? How do you break this consolidation pattern? If you break it up, here's the issue, right? I've talked about this in the past. I don't use Bollinger Bands as a setup, but I am watching to see how they trade around the Bollinger Bands. Because what we do know is that if you trade above the Bollinger Bands, for some traders, they're going to think of that as an oversold condition. And they're going to sell it if it cannot stay above the bands. Other traders, they think Bollinger Bands is a momentum pattern. So if the trade's above the Bollinger Bands, they want to get in that trade because it's usually quite aggressive if you're doing the Bollinger Band walk, like here, right? So if you can trade below, outside the range of the Bollinger Bands, we call that the Bollinger Band walk. But as soon as you pop above the Bollinger Band when you're trading below it, or below the Bollinger Band if you're trading above it, momentum has ceased, right? It's been extinguished and it pops back up. Same thing here, right? So see on the left hand side of the chart there, did the Bollinger Band walk all the way down here for these 4 weeks here, pops above here, pops up, bam, outside the Bollinger Band and back up again. So how does it resolve this? And the same thing, if nothing happens at all with 1 week left of trading, how do you get outside this bar? This is a really big bar, right? So how do you not just stay inside of it here and just do a bunch of chop, frustrating a lot of traders to end the month and perhaps the quarter? Okay, so that's something to watch out for. That's always tricky once you have a huge, once you have a huge range. How to get outside that range? Case in point is Bitcoin, right? We'll talk about that in just a couple of charts. Let's move on now to XAU. So gold had a good Friday. All right, so the geopolitical risk back in play again. Gold had a bit of a bounce because it had 2 weeks of 3 negative weeks before that. So right now on gold, let's just take the big picture. Still momentum to the upside on the quarterly chart. Outside bar up, right? How do you extinguish this bar? By taking out that bar's low, right? It's gonna be very hard for that to happen this quarter with with only 6 trading days left. So right now, it's probably going to end the quarter. I'm going to go on a limb here. It's going to end the quarter green. Okay, so unless something really, really significant happens, and all of a sudden all the risk comes off the table, and all the wars get settled, I think we still end the quarter green. Okay, on the monthly chart, red month, but trading inside the prior month's range. We did take out the prior month's high. This week here, this is what you want to look for the next week. So as I mentioned already, we have 3 consecutive red weeks in a row. Okay, red, outside bar, down. Here's what you want to wait for. Can they take out this prior week's high? Okay, so that there, this current week's high. So there we go. If we take out that week's high, that will extinguish the momentum. And we can have a good chance now of coming back up here, and then turning the monthly green, right? So if they can come after that pivot, they go after this pivot high, then going to go after that. Actually, 1 second. Yeah, this week's low is lower than the prior week, right? So it did go down before turning the week green. So this takes out that high there. We're going to go after that pivot, and then can we turn the month green? That's going to be the question. XAU. So on the 2-day chart, what we end up with is an inside bar reversal. Okay, so there's your inside bar, and down, breaks below. They defend the weekly open, and it goes inside bar reversal back to the upside, taking out the pivot high. Okay, so buyers in control now. Sorry, I'm jumping around a bit. Buyers in control now after this inside outside, right, and down, right. They right here, they extinguished the momentum, so that downward move got extinguished. Then went inside bar reversal, pow, back up. Now looking like it's gonna go back up higher again. Okay. So on the daily chart, same picture, but a little more color. Here we go. Just like what we talked about with the emerging markets, right? We want to see when you have this inside-outside situation, what's the next bar going to be? Because we like the inside, outside, inside, right? It's that situation, inside, outside, inside, expecting range expansion on that next bar. That's what we're getting. That's what we got on Friday. Inside, outside, inside, range expansion. Okay, same thing. If it just like we talked about with EM, looks like this right now. The EM, right? Looks something like that. Just look at the last 2 bars. Inside, outside. Does it go down? That's momentum down or momentum up, or does it go inside again? Right? If it goes inside again, what's the next bar? Pow. Does that? It goes higher, right? So that's what we're looking at now on the on XAU. That was a nice outside, inside, and up on Friday. 1.22% gain. The big mover was, of course, the gold miners. That has your bigger beta. Let's talk about digital gold now. On to BTC. Volatile week for BTC until you look at the wider time frame charts, and you realize it's just inside week trading, or inside month trading, inside quarter trading. Nothing much to really report on BTC. It's chop right now. So right now you're getting this situation now where you have, I want to delete some of these lines here. Inside quarter, nothing's changed there. Inside month, and I've been talking about this now for the whole month. The whole quarter. How do you get outside this stuff? So I'm not going to, repeat the same narrative again and again. But there's really no reason to be really aggressive on Bitcoin until you break these ranges. So my bet is we don't do anything for the rest of the quarter because it's inside now on the monthly chart. This week we did break below the prior week's low, so that that is a little bit significant until you see the bigger context, right? You're trading inside quarter, inside month, and you only have 6 trading days left. Is it really going to bust out of there? Maybe, maybe not. Because if you recall, Bitcoin has been really good at honoring its quarterly charts. So actually, I'm on the wrong BTC product here. go back to Bitfinex. There we go. Okay, so the quarterly charts are very, very clean on Bitcoin. So when you look at the quarterly chart, recall this is the big quarter we had in Q2, had 159% move, right? All off on this move here, inside, down, and inside bar reversal, inside bar pops back up, right? So this is what I mean by honoring the quarterly charts. It does a very, very good job of having very clean quarterly charts. So that's what you want to be using if you're trading Bitcoin to really get a longer term narrative and not get chopped up. If you're getting chopped up right now on Bitcoin, it's because you're trading this stuff, right? You're looking at the weekly chart, or you're looking at something really tight and using, you're trying to use trend indicators. You're gonna get killed in this stuff. This stuff is gonna kill you because look at the overlap, right? That's very, very choppy stuff because you're trading inside month, inside quarter, inside everything. So that stuff will kill you. I'm still long some Bitcoin. I'm still long from this breakout up here, but my daily, I think I mentioned I got long on Bitcoin on daily chart last week. I did get stopped out on that, but I wasn't. It was simply a trade I wanted to try out. But the other trade did work out well. So let's talk about Ethereum here. But just for Bitcoin, just finish the picture here. Outside, inside on the 2-day chart. How do you break out of that? Look how tight this stuff is. I'll just finish the picture on Bitcoin. Okay, so look at the Bollinger Bands, right? Look how tight that is. It's actually getting tighter. If believe it or not, this actually is getting tighter. See how tight that was already going into August? So going into September, we have 1 week left in September. 6 trading days left. It's actually getting tighter. So this is getting really, really tight now. So you need to, this something is going to happen at some point. So you want to be ready with your orders. Okay, let's talk about Ethereum, because Ethereum is a very nice breakout. And I talked about that last week, and I talked about how I entered the trade. So Ethereum right now, it is still trading inside quarter, so red quarter. Okay, inside month, but a green month. And here's a nice breakout on Ethereum we saw last week. Recall what I talked about. It was momentum. Inside, down, inside, down. Inside bar reversal right there. As soon as we broke above 184.90, that was the signal, because not only is it inside bar reversal, but you're also extinguishing the momentum pattern to the downside. Sellers got exhausted, right? They were stalemate right there. So this was looked really bad for the buyers because it went inside bar and down, but that became stalemate, and they took that high out. Then that means the price momentum was extinguished. You recall last week that I talked about my entry. Same similar pattern, waiting for momentum to get extinguished right there. Outside bar down. It turns into a buyable pullback, right? Buy it as soon as it breaks above that high, right there. Okay, and then it took off very, very nicely. So just draw on the rest of the rewards. So there you go. That was close to 6R now. 5R on that trade. So that's not a bad gain compared to that small 1R loss on Bitcoin. Ultimately, expecting this level to get taken out here, right there. 240. There's your outside bar high from the beginning of August. So this here, that's a very, very attractive pivot because that's an outside bar. Okay, so we expect that to come back into this outside bar's range. Okay, so holding on to Ethereum and trying to take out that pivot there. Another really nice trade was on IOTA, and I'm just going to show, I'm not going to go deep into the chart, I'm just going to show what it looks like, because the price patterns are universal. Once you understand price, then the game becomes easy. So here's the pivot. Just like Ethereum, pivot was at 0.3. Okay, right there. 30 cents, that's the pivot. There's the entry, right there. Okay, see that move? Inside bar down, inside bar reversal, back up, taking out that 30-cent pivot. That was the trade. Okay, and there's many ways to get into that on a lower time frame, but just on the weekly chart alone, you could have made 3R, close to 3R from the entry on the weekly chart to that pivot there. So very, very nice move on Ethereum this past week, up 18% for the week. Okay, so let's talk about total now, the overall crypto market. And again, my message for the most point is to be waiting until we break out of the monthly inside and the quarterly inside, because stuff is tight. Okay, so it depends, varies on coins, but most of the trading is very, very tight. So back to the quarterly chart, inside quarter. Okay, on total. We'll talk more about this next week, right? In next weekend's video. How we break out of this, once the quarter ends, once the month ends, then we want to definitely see, how we break outside this consolidation, because that will be important. Inside quarter, inside month, this could be possible. I'm going to jump ahead of myself a little bit, but if it closes anything like this, right? anything like this, okay, for the month, that's a possible inside bar reversal back to the upside. Inside bar and down, it goes inside bar again for the month, right? That means a lot of people get chopped up and killed in here, and all of a sudden, you come into October, pow, it goes inside bar up, there's your inside bar reversal, and we're going to go after that pivot there. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Okay, so now, for the weekly chart, it's getting tight. Look how tight that is. It's actually the Bollinger Bands are beginning to squeeze. So Bollinger Band squeeze, inside pops up back in the range, and just look at the daily chart. That's all you gotta say. It's actually squeezing tighter and tighter. Outside bar, inside bar, and it's getting super tight in there. Expect that to get even tighter until it breaks out, hits one side of the Bollinger Band, this side or that side, doesn't matter which, and then it's gonna snap back and push the other side, stop everyone else on the other side. That's your typical Bollinger Band action. All right, well, now let's just breeze through a few final charts. I'm going to focus mostly on the weekly chart because we have basically 6 or 1 full trading week left, and let's see how these weekly charts play out. So I'm going to focus on the weekly chart here, and let's see how these names play out. So TLRY, marijuana stock, still getting killed. So just to give a bit of context, marijuana stock, so MJ being one of the ETFs, just looks terrible, right? So down, hitting yearly lows, it looks like to me. So the MJ ETF really going into yearly lows here. Look, it even took out 2018's lows. So we're going right into yearly lows, taking out last year's lows. So if you can't see this, then I don't know what to say. But let's just draw it in so you can really see crystal clear here. We're actually creating a broadening formation, surprise, surprise, on this long-term chart right there. Okay, and can you see the higher highs? This high here to a lower high, and there's your big broadening formation. It makes it very apparent when you go to the quarterly chart, right? So here's the quarterly chart, right? So here's your low. Now it's making a new low here of what, 2293. Low here is 2301. So yeah, technically it did make a lower low right there. So here, inside bar, and down. So it really got crushed down to the tune of 27% this past quarter. So back to the weekly chart. Let's get on with the story. TLRY being one that's setting up nicely here to the downside now, because we have outside, inside, outside. Now what's the next one? Could go inside again, right? So that's what you want to watch out for. It maybe sets up for something in either this week. It goes outside bar, momentum down to the downside, or do another inside bar, and then Q4 kicks off with a bang, right? So put TLRY on your watch list for something that could be volatile if it breaks outside of this outside bars range. LULU, okay, LULU come back in. So had a really nice move there 2 weeks ago, outside bar up. But here's the issue, right? If you all of a sudden met with an inside bar and it goes inside bar down, you come back through here, possibly taking out that pivot low. We'll see what happens. Facebook actually holding in very, very well. So Facebook here, all right, here's a pattern, outside bar and down. If you recall, in July, it looked really rough, right? Momentum extinguished right there. Okay, now broke above there, and now it's inside bar up. So Facebook working its way back up, nearly turning the quarter green. MasterCard setting up something. Okay, so here you want to watch this one here, sitting right at the quarterly open. Do buyers of MasterCard defend here and break up? And do the sellers try to hold it back down, keeping it below the monthly open? So outside, inside, what's going to happen next? Watch how that resolves. PGR, okay, outside, inside on the weekly chart. So see how this resolves. Okay, so see how this inside bar, which way of that range it breaks out. Snap, interesting one here, because it's going outside and up. So Snap strong. Okay, so Snap strong. Actually, on this bar here, on this chart, it doesn't show the outside bar, but on my trading charts, I do see an outside bar. Regardless, you can say this is if it's not an outside bar, it came very, very close to being outside. It is a momentum bullish hammer there and went up. Now on the monthly chart, look, it's possible inside bar reversal next month, right? So if it closes anywhere like this in September, next month it could be inside bar reversal, and then comes back up here, taking out that July's highs. So watch Snap, put that on your watch list, because these highs here, right there, July's highs, could be in play. Now, one final thing to show, and that is healthcare looking very, very strong, right? So healthcare here now, outside and up on the week, so momentum to on the buyer side, and this pattern is slowly playing itself out on the quarterly chart. Outside, inside, and up, and still going up. Even though it's a red quarter, you made a higher high, you're still trading within the top quartile of the prior quarter's highs. So ultimately, if this keeps going up, you can expect October's highs of last year to get tested. Right now, healthcare looking strong. Look at IBB. Showed it last week, consolidating as well. Look at that chart. Wait for the next quarter, right? Outside, inside, inside, inside on the quarter. This is gonna pop. Maybe not this quarter. We only have 6 days left. But when this pops, it'll make for very interesting trading on IBB. So right now, it's very, very tight stuff, even on the monthly chart. Let's do a few healthcare names now, because I think that's gonna be the sector to watch, or one of the important sectors to watch. One name being, let's say, J&J. This week it broke up. Okay, so inside and up, inside by reversal right there in the prior week, and now it's outside and up, so momentum to the upside on J&J. Okay, and Nectar, NKTR. Oops, NKTR. Nectar Therapeutics. There you go. Okay, inside, inside. So it's consolidating. It consolidated for 2 full weeks here at the lows. All right, so way at the lows here. These are 20. Look, this is it leaves even lower than 2018, right? So broke below 2018's lows, consolidated for 2 weeks. Now outside bar up. Now you want to see if it can keep going or not. Otherwise, it breaks below there, comes back in. If it can stay above here, breaks back above 2054, that will put the momentum back in the side of the bulls or the buyers. And this is how I might do it, right? So you look at the daily chart here now, right there. Okay, so this week's highs. Let's go back here. The prior week's highs is 2054. If you go back to the daily chart now, 2054. That level right there, right? 2054. Inside bar reversal. So it goes inside bar, down, inside bar. On Friday, popped above it, but it could not stay above there. But if it does trade above there again, breaks back above 2040, you can expect the 2054 area to get tested again, and possibly it to go back up and create that momentum condition back on the weekly pattern. All right, so that is a wrap for this week's video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a big thumbs up and recommend our videos. Please share them with your friends, colleagues, and subscribe to it if you enjoy them. And as always, I wish you a great trading week and happy trading. All the best.